Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's March 13th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And you can see it's kind of an odd day. There's not a lot of movement here. We were in a real tight range, and that's the way it kind of closed. We actually sold most of this lower part came in a late afternoon sell-off, but like usual, right after 2:30, the 3 o'clock, when pretty much the volume thins out, they ran it back up, took some of it back. So, but you can see very small day overall, and just not a lot happening today. But you can see it there, just kind of a little um, sideways, rangy looking bar there. So, but let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart where you can get a better look at it, and we'll go through the trades. There's quite a few trades. Uh, they're a little tricky if you're not comfortable trading ranges and you don't quite understand how to trade them, but if you do, there's quite a few trades there for that type of day. Not much movement, but let's flip over and take a look. Okay, here it is, and we started out in this larger light blue channel, and then we just kind of got stuck in this pink one, and then we broke higher and we're stuck in this one before this big sell-off came, and then we rallied most of that back. So a really strange day. In the end, what I think happened is the lower part of support kept moving down, and in the end, I think it was right here, and then that creates this midline, and you can see that's where we were bouncing underneath and then above that midline, and that kind of explains this pink channel a little better. So, and it tends to fit over here too. So in the end, I think this is what it was. It was just a much bigger channel, and but it was really hard to figure that out early on. I mean, you could have drawn your line down here in the beginning and left it, and probably been okay, but it still wouldn't have explained a lot of these bounces in here, which uh, let's move this back up. But it wouldn't explain these bounces. But now that you see it down here, after you get in these other two lows here, then you can see there was a midline there. And you can see prices playing both sides of that midline all the way across there. So that's the way I see it in the end. And sometimes you just have to piece these things together. And you might have to piece several smaller micro trends before you find the larger trend. And that's just the way price action works. There's something going on at every level, and the price action works at every level. So there's trends within trends. There's trends within channels. There's ranges. There's ranges within trends. There's trends within ranges, and that's why this stuff works consistently at any level. Uh, and it's because there's something going on at every level. And you just have to learn to see that. You did have to be patient this morning. 7 o'clock came somewhere down through this sell-off here. Let me zoom on in here so we can go through the trades. Try to zoom in. There is a second entry here, but triggers above this inside bar. I don't like those. I would sit tight. And of course, we're just running up, and then all of a sudden it turns down again. We don't really get a break and new high on this move up here. And then we just go right into this channel here. It's like a little spike and channel down. There was a lower high here. It's a possibility. It is a second entry short because this is a new low. So first entry, second entry. And after that big leg down, there's a chance you could get a measured leg or something similar. This is sideways and it's right into the EMA. I'm not super crazy about it, but you probably could argue for that to be a lower high and be green. And then this is just kind of too choppy. First entry. By the time this forms, we're already almost to the other side of the channel. First entry, no signal bar. First entry, no signal bar. There's just nothing going on here. It's real tough to trade this. We're in a real tight range here. Can't go short or long out of that. Finally, you break down. If you'd had a good high or low, I'd say go long there, but that's too bearish. But really, what I would call this is just sideways stuff. And so you got one leg up, a correction, a second attempt at a leg up that fails, um, and creates a second entry short, which instantly fails almost as prices reverse off the EMA and turn up and go right out the other side. That's a failed second entry short. That's the way I would play that. I like going long. I don't think you wait. If you wait till this bar closes, I think you've moved too far. But if you entered it on the engulfing bar, which I think that's fine on this big bearish bar because it's probably going to trap people. It's a trap for sure. And you can see how it rocketed up real quick and then lost momentum and turned back down. And that's kind of what they had to do. They had to kind of create short traps to move it higher all day today for the most part. So I like that one. That's the best opportunity we've had so far. It's right off a key entry point. Again, I wouldn't wait till this closes. It still would have worked, but that's taking on a lot of risk there. 13 ticks. It turns down, you get your break. Now you do get a second entry long right here, and that is the first break of that channel. But again, I think you're better off waiting. Again, you could argue for that one to be green, but I like waiting. There's no real close outside until here, so that concerns me. But it is a second entry long, and maybe you take that trade. I think you need to wait on a higher low, which comes here, and the setup's no good. And so you just chop up here again, and then boom, the bottom falls out. Now here, you right at the midline, notice how we bounced there a few times. And right here, you do get a first entry. And it pulls back and tests the trend line again. If it breaks higher, it's a second entry long. And you expect prices to try to make a new high and probably test this other high up here. Actually, you wouldn't have even had that high yet. We're just looking for a second entry long here. To retest the highs of this channel here. So it's just, and you're looking for a possible measured leg because there's two legs down right here. Now I took this trade and I recorded it and posted it on the site and on YouTube. So if you hadn't seen that, go look for it. Turned out to be a good trade. It was quick, easy scalp, and then I got a 3-point runner on it with 5 contracts. So that was another 15 points. So it was about a $1,500 trade that lasted maybe 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes. I'm not sure how long. It wasn't very long though. So I like that trade. But yeah, I was looking at this a little different. I was looking at the support at this point too. I was looking at this a little different. Let me show you. I think the support was right along here at that point. You could see the resistance there and the support here. We did push through a couple of times. You can see the support. But in the end, if you bring this down to where we played it, you can see that was just a midline in there. Was all that was. But that was another reason I played this one. I thought we were going back into the original range. Well, I actually had the gray line up there, I think. And but again, you got a channel working up, and you got 2 legs back, so it's a second entry long. You're expecting prices to make a new high, and it looked like it was getting back into the original channel, so we could head to the highs again. Didn't do that, just ran up here and turned down. And that is a second entry short. If you're in this trade, it's often hard to just switch gears real quick. But if you're here trading this, being that far away from the EMA on a second entry short after this is played out here, and that also plays out the green one because that's the first break. And so now you made a new high. You actually already made a new high on the green one here. But everything had played out over here, so there's a good chance you could turn down and or at least ride it back to the EMA. And this thing ended up the bottom just kind of fell out of it. We do bounce down here. That is a good signal bar, but that's a really big signal bar, and that's the first close outside that channel. And you don't have a whole lot of support proof down here yet. The last one's a little further down, so I don't think you can take that trade. I think you need a higher low, and that just doesn't set up. Uh, just a first entry. But notice you get the break. It looks like you get a close outside here. It's not 100%. It's not real convincing though. So this one is, but it looks like you get a break and two legs up regardless. But this one wasn't necessarily convincing. You possibly could have drawn this a little lower like so. And maybe that is how it was, exactly like that. But then you get your break here and a couple of legs up to a new high. And then now you've got multiple tests of this line, and that far away from the EMA. I like going short there. It runs straight down to the other side and bounces. And again, it's tempting to go long here. You could argue maybe there's a triple test. There's at least another test here, but you're still in this channel. There's no close outside. There's no retest to the low, and you see we did indeed come back and retest the lows. But the long trade would have worked. I just think you have to wait. But notice you get a first entry, second entry, and it runs down, tests the low, and then makes a higher low right here. I like going long on that. And if this would have been a little better signal bar, there's no reason you shouldn't take that short. Notice you got a trend working, a little micro trend working up. Let's go ahead and draw it so everybody can see it. And you get the break, move to a new high and a second entry short. It's just a shame that wasn't a better signal bar. But it drops down and tests. Now you can argue that you got a 1, 2, 3 triple test, although that doesn't trigger there, but you get a higher low here and that triggers. And technically that's the second entry long right there as well. So first entry, second entry, plus it's a 1, 2, 3 triple test. So great place to go long. And again, this takes off pretty quick, and you probably get a runner on it, and then we're just chopping sideways again. And I don't see anything in here I want to trade until maybe this breakout here. But again, you've got a channel working down, but you don't get a close outside, a new low, or anything like that. You just suddenly reverse. But that's what happens on failures a lot of times. They just run it out this end, and they trap in all these shorts, and then they reverse it. And boom, they all have to get out, and that allows it to run higher again. And you see this thing ended up breaking out and going much higher. And so that's what happens a lot of times. They couldn't break it through down here, so they ran it out up here and then broke it down. And a lot of people, I've seen all these other strategies that teach you to sell on a breakout down here and buy on a breakout up here. Look what would happen. If you bought up here, you lost. If you sold down here, you lost. It works just the opposite. And why people teach it to trade it that way, I'd never know. It's because they don't know what they're doing. They're just selling you a bunch of junk if they sell you that trading strategy. But, I mean, you could have gone short. If that would have been a better signal bar, I'd say go short there. But there's just too much stem right there. I don't know how well you can see that. Hopefully you can see how much stem's there now. But on the breakout, it closes back inside. I like going long there. And boom, off to the races it goes. And you actually get a first entry, second entry, but that signal bar is too neutral and it looks a little congested. This is right at the news up here. I don't know if that had anything to do with this bar. I'm guessing it did. So you probably didn't want it to be out right there for just a few minutes, at least until I'd say you want to be out by about 11:50 at the latest, just in case. So that's right there at 12:01. So I probably would have stayed out at least through here. That's 3 minutes. I would say give it. It was 12:01, so I'd say give it at least till 12:05. I mean, I wouldn't risk an entry here, so it wouldn't have really mattered. There's no setup there. And of course, we make a new high. You come back first entry, pull back, and you get a second entry right there. Plus, there's a 1, 2, 3 triple test and a nice signal bar. So I like going long there. And once again, it rockets off. Runs up here. You do make a little higher high here, but you've got your break and a new high. I'd probably wait on a lower high here. I mark this one green. You do get a close outside and a new high, so technically you could take that if you want. I think it's a little aggressive. I don't see anything else. You actually get a first entry and a second entry on this bar, but then now you get another, whatever you want to call that, a triple test, triple bottom, and it runs up and makes another new high. And now you got a triple test at the high with a bearish bar. Yeah, we're still in this channel, but I think you got to take that trade that far away from the EMA. And it tries to go higher before it turns down. Then it tries to go higher again. Closes way down here low. If it breaks below that, it's another chance to go short right off this resistance up here. And it's also a first entry, second entry short. We're not looking for second entries here, but if you get one, pay attention to it. Of course, now we're trending down. You get your break outside. There's nothing you can trade in there. It's just two sideways. This one's maybe tempting. It broke higher and turned and went out. You wouldn't want to trade that on the engulfing bar because it's probably going to snap back like it did. But you can see you easily, if you'd held on, you'd have won here. But that's hard to do sometimes. So I just don't see anything else in there that you could trade down through here either. Close outside. There's a hidden second entry here. And you could argue there's a triple test there. This one does make a little higher low, so it's a possibility. I'd sit tight probably and see if you get a lower high. And you don't. The bottom just falls out of it. You get a close outside new low, and then it reverses. And this is just, even though you had a lower high here, this is first entry right here, followed by a lower high. And you could also call that a second entry. Oh, this is after 2:30, so I don't even know why I'm talking about it, but it's too late there. But notice there is a first entry and then a second entry, and that would have given you, you wouldn't have got much out of it. You got a scalp. You probably wouldn't have got a runner, but you would have got a scalp. So interesting day today. It's just a lot of sideways stuff, like a lot of uncertainty in the market, mixed choppy trading. But I like trading these ranges when they give you the multiple tests at the same places because it's very predictable what's going to happen. So I don't mind trading it. But that's really all you had today for the most part. So yeah, not much. I hope, again, go watch the trade I took here that I demonstrated if you hadn't seen it yet. Hopefully you can learn something from that. And people always ask me to do more of those, and I'll try. But it's really hard because it just interferes. And so once I've made my money, then I feel a little more relaxed if there's time. And I was done early today, so there was time. And I just decided I would go ahead and record it. But I'm not crazy about it. Anytime you turn on that recorder or you have somebody watching over your shoulder, you start thinking differently. And you know, if you're taking a live trade, it messes with you. You start thinking differently and you start making mistakes, and it's part of the mental thing. It comes back. So at least it does to me. And I'm sure if you tried to do it yourself, you'd understand what I'm talking about. If you know other people are going to watch that trade, it makes you think a little differently sometimes. So try to hone that out, but it's not always easy. So it's not easy to record these trades and get them all up and do everything else I need to do during the day. But I will try to do more of them when I can. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you had a good day today. I know this is tough trading for most people, especially if you're new to this. If you understand ranges, maybe you didn't have too hard a time with it. But if you don't understand range trading, it can be difficult. And you need a lot of experience at this, and that's the thing that people miss. I want to say this again. You can study this, what we do, and you can learn our strategy and be able to read the chart and point things out and all that pretty quickly after the fact. If you're good at, if you catch on and you understand it, that part's not the hard part. The hard part is you need a lot of screen time and experience. This is my personal opinion, and I've had this discussion with a few times. Some people disagree with me, but I think once you get the experience, you'll understand. But the more you trade and the more you watch the chart, the more experience you get at it, and you start to understand. You start to be to know what prices are going to do, especially if you understand the rules and you're following the rules, and you'll get to where you can predict chart movement relatively easily. I mean, the trade I demonstrated was not the perfect best trade you'll ever see, but I know what prices do, and I was pretty confident they were going higher, and I took the trade, and it worked, and I recorded it, and you can see it if you hadn't already seen it. But that comes from years of sitting here at this chart all day long, watching prices print to a chart, and there's no substitution for that. Again, you can learn the strategy pretty quickly and pick out this chart and print it and mark it up, mark these trades and find them. But when you're doing it in real time without a lot of experience in a chart, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. It's just the way it is. It's like anything. If you're an athlete, you can be a gifted athlete, but to be better, you have to hone your skill set, and that takes, the guys that playing professional football have had years and years of lower level practice and honing their skills, and eventually they get there. But you can't go. Very few people can go straight from high school to pros. I mean, they won't even let you. But very few people would be able to do that. Some of your best pro players were average in high school and just okay in college, but by the time they get to the pros, they figured it out and they've got that experience. And trading's no different. It's a skill set. Reading this chart and understand what prices are doing is a skill set that you get by doing this every day for hours at a time. And the more screen time you get, it's like flying a plane. If you're a pilot, the more time you sit in the seat and fly that plane, the more you start to understand it and see all the different things and get better at it. Driving a car, the more you sit in that seat and drive, the better you get at it, because the more you see and the more you start to understand, and you get better and better at it. Trading's the same exact way. Very few people can get on even if they understand how to read the chart and know the strategy, can sit here and do it in real time without a lot of experience. So don't lose sight of that time factor. That's what takes so long about this, getting that screen time and getting experience. Yeah, it doesn't. Most of you can learn this strategy pretty quick. 6 months, 8 months, you probably got it. A year for sure, but then comes the experience time. And if you just get on here every day, and what happens is most people, once they start to kind of understand it, they want to go live, and they forget about sim trading, and they go live, and they're only taking 1 or 2 trades a day, and they're sitting here and they're getting bored and they're getting frustrated and they get undisciplined and they take a trade and they lose, and then they end up taking another loser, and then at the end of the day they just quit. They don't go study their trades. Even if they do, they don't have much to study. The way you get better at this is you need to be trading live data as much as you can every single day, and the only way you can afford to do that is to get on the simulator. So if you're new to this and you're trying to learn, let that sink in. You need to be on the simulator, taking every trade you see that you think fits the criteria. Don't worry if you're right or wrong. Just let the trade play out. And then at the end of the day, that's when you worry if you were right or wrong. You study those trades diligently. You figure out what you did right. You figure out what you did wrong, you learn from your mistakes, you try to correct them, and you do the same thing the next day. And if you do that every day, you're going to get a lot more time at the screen, a lot more trade, and you prove to yourself you can do it because you'll start winning trades, or if you're not winning trades, then by all means, you know you shouldn't be trying to do it live because you're just going to be a donor. You're going to donate all your money to somebody else, the skilled traders. So I understand. I was the same way. I wanted to rush to trade live. I thought I could do it. I thought I was different than everybody else, and nobody is. You're all going to trust me. If you go and try to trade live before you're skilled at this, you're just going to be a donor, and you're going to give all your hard-earned trading capital to somebody else. But people just will not listen to that. They're eager to go live. But anyway, if you trust me on this, it's a skill, and you have to have that screen time, and it takes time, and you need to be getting as much screen time, so you need to be on the simulator and taking every trade, and at the end of the day, you need to be studying. So I got off on a tangent today. This is almost 30 minutes, and I didn't mean it to be. But anyway, listen to me when I tell you that. You need to be trading the simulator because that's why you get there. You can't get there trading live because you don't have the money. Your pockets are not deep. If you're a millionaire, your pockets are not deep enough because you will lose that $1 million. Trust me. Now, if you've got $20 million sitting in the bank and you don't mind losing $1 million of it, go trade live every day. But if you're like the average person trying to get into this, you've got a little money you scratched up for your trading capital and you can't afford to lose it. And so you need to be on the simulator until you prove you can do it there. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Hope you had a good trading day. Hope you enjoyed the live trade that I videoed. I'll try to do more when I can, but there's reasons I don't do them every day, just like there's reasons I don't do a lot of things every day. I just don't have time to do everything I need to do with my own trading, the website, my other businesses I have, all of that. So anyway, hope you had a good day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.